All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be jumping into the top prop bets for the college basketball slate on Saturday for PrizePicks and Underdog. Let's go ahead and jump into it. And so as I'm recording this video, guys, we're only getting several of good prop bets. I'm going to touch on the top four here, the bets that we're going to be going out of our way to target, but then we're going to jump into plenty more, some spots that you guys can get to as well if you guys want. It is still early. A lot of the bets that I could call out here could be bets that we get on for early edges. They're bets that could potentially get bumped by game time locks. So do want to mention that. But the first bet that's popping up as a good bet is going to be Copeland for over his fantasy score. So we go ahead and look at this prop bet, guys. We look at the PrizePicks line. It's at 23.5. The average sportsbook line would have it closer to 26.8. So the average sportsbook line is just pulling in all the sportsbook data that we have going into the 9 to 5 database and combining that into one data point for the average fantasy score there. We look at the projection data. It also likes the over there probably a little bit too much. The projection data is probably closer to being wrong than right there. You know, I wouldn't say that that's a big difference there, but the projection data is typically a little bit higher, just mostly because it's more like DFS based projections where it's more chasing more of a ceiling rather than a floor, but still not a bad thing to have the projection data agreeing with what we're being told to do here. Now, when we look at his game log, we are going to notice that really the last two games are the games in which he's been going off recently. So in a way, we are kind of riding the hot hand there with the McNeese guard, but I think we're going to be fine with that there as well. It's going to be a tighter slate as it sits right now. Again, I think we're going to get better prop bets as the day progresses, but I'm going to be fine going with that one. And so now we go ahead and get into another one that you know, a lot of people aren't going to like. I bet this is going to end up being a popular bet actually for the over fantasy score, and that's actually not what we're being told to do via the data. Now, I do think that that has to do mostly to the matchup. I'll show you guys this on the cheat sheet here, but we're being told to bet is under 24.5 fantasy score. And when we look at it, guys, we are going to see, you know, two games in there where he barely got the over there. Okay, so you know, not anything too crazy. It's not like it's egregiously something that we're being told to do via the data points. So looking at it, guys, yes, the average sportsbook line would have it closer to 21, and I'm sure that has to do mostly with the matchup there with St. John's. And then the projection data also agrees as well, saying that the line is off by 1 as well. These are two spots here, including the next one as well that I'm going to get into, that I am very interested to see what the underdog lines are going to be for all three of these here, because I do think that the underdog lines are going to be telling us to do the opposite as well. I bet for Copeland, his underdog line is going to be a little bit lower. I bet for Davis, his underdog line is going to be a little bit higher. And I bet for Phelps here, it's going to be a little bit lower. And then we'd be getting some better spots there on those sites. And these are all three bets where I'm not like gung-ho about. If you guys watch the Friday video, you know that we're having a good day, or hopefully you guys had a good day with that. It was a live stream. We were getting a lot of good spots there where, you know, I kind of felt like what the data was presenting were bets that I was kind of happy to get to. And I'm still going to be, you know, fine getting to these. It's just not like, they're not like lock and load bets to me is what I'm saying. Although the percent likelihoods for them to hit are pretty strong. So let's go ahead and take a peek at Phelps. So yeah, so when we go ahead and look at Phelps here, we're going to notice that he has not been getting his over recently. And this is an egregiously low line for him. Going against Michigan, who almost let off a very upsetting comeback. That would have been a fun upset for the tournament, but Michigan almost choked that one away. Phelps is someone that the minutes have varied a decent amount. Kind of looking at the projected minutes that I have him for, about 27, which I would argue is a little bit too high. But if he does end up getting 27 minutes, he should be able to get this over. So it does seem to be that Vegas as well is kind of telling us that they think he's going to get a little bit more run. Now, I do want to call it something interesting here with Phelps as well, because we are getting another spot that we can get to as well that I think is a little bit better. So right now, his points and assists line is at 12.5, and that's going to be fascinating because guess what else he is at 12.5 with? Just his points only. And so, yeah, if we were wanting to chase an over bet, I think we'd rather just do his points and assists at 12.5 rather than his 12. Okay, he's not going to get 2.5 assists here, most likely, right? But he should be able to get 1, which is what he's been able to do the last 4 games. And if that occurs, then the 12.5 assists is an egregious line there. I don't know what's going on with that. That seems to be a clear error. They'll probably get that corrected. But for now, it's a pretty good edge. These two correlate, guys. If he gets over 12.5 assists, that's going to mean that he's likely to get over his fantasy score as well. If the day is telling us about the over 18.5 fantasy score, I don't mind that though, because it's probably factoring in the likelihood for him to get an assist or a steal or block. But that's the bet. Like if you attach a steal or block to this 16.5 PRA that he's at, you know, then it's not too crazy to think that he'd be able to get that over fantasy score. So again, not exactly bets I'm going crazy with. I'm not going to get high volume on these bets, but there are the 3 best bets that we are currently getting. Then we are getting another bet here on PrizePicks, and this is going to be a bet that we can roll with on Underdog as well. I'm going to include this on the Underdog 3 slip bet later on in this video, but looking at Brandon Smith to get over 12.5 rebounds and assists here. The projection data has it closer to 12.8. So again, I like the fact that the projection data is agreeing with what we're being told to do here via the average sportsbook line. Now, if we look at the game log, it isn't an insanely good game log, but didn't really need to do much against High Point, Michigan. Yeah, he did. Big time basketball, a little bit different, I would say, but should be a pretty easy matchup. We look at his assist line. He's got a goblin of 6.5 assists, so we like that aspect, and he's got a goblin for 3.5 rebounds. So at the very least, you combine those two together, it should be at 11 at the very least. But again, like not a bet that we love, but a bet that we will get some action in. Not a high volume bet, but a bet that is popping up, so we'll get some action to it. Now from there, those are the 4 best bets that are popping up, guys. Then from there, we can, kind of look through the rest of the list and see maybe where we want to get to with some of the bets that we could potentially target. So Chad Baker here is one that I don't mind for over his 20.5 fantasy score. Now this is an interesting one because on the previous slate, we were being told to bet his under fantasy score, which was a bet I was actually pretty happy to get to. And so I'm not exactly going to be crazy about betting his over fantasy score because he really hasn't been all that productive this whole season. I would assume that this is much more of a thing where the game's going to be a little bit closer. He's going to be due to get a little bit more run. And because of that, we can expect him to get his over fantasy score. So I don't mind that. One of my favorite bets, however, is actually going to be Darion Williams to get over his rebounds here of 5. Okay, now the projection day doesn't like it. Only gives him 4.2 rebounds here, so we don't exactly love that. But the average sportsbook line has it at 5.5. And if we look at his game log, we are going to notice that he has been crushing this a lot lately. Only one game where he hasn't at least gotten a push on this. And so I do think if you're betting on this, you are expecting it to be a push. But the more likely side of, it hitting or not hitting for his over, the more likely outcome is going to be that it's going to be a middle, is going to be a push at 5, but he's going to be more likely to get that over than he would be to get that under. And so I'm fine getting to the over 5 rebounds, just knowing that it's going to be likely to be a push. And so that's going to be a bet I'm going to put into the bet slip. And then just some other ones. Graham Ike for under his fantasy score has a 53% likelihood to hit. I don't actually mind that one. If you look at his game, like he has been consistently getting that under. Bennett here, where we're looking at his over fantasy score of 30. Again, this is off by both the projection data and also the average sportsbook line by a decent amount. And he is someone that does get heavy minutes. And so I don't mind betting this over. This is a bet that I have gotten some action in on. Not crazy about it, but that's kind of the day that we have on Saturday as I'm recording this video. Hopefully, guys, maybe I'll do a live stream before the early games start and we can find some better bets, but it's all about trying to get some early edges, and these are okay. Another one here, Zuby for over his points, rebounds, and assists. A decent one. Again, looking at the projection data, we're kind of okay with that one there as well. And so with that, we're going to jump into the prize picks bet of the day, and then we're going to jump into Underdog, guys. So a 6 slip bet right now. And these are just going to be the 6 best bets currently that I view on the board. Hopefully we do get more better bets that are popping up, before game time lock, but I'm fine getting to these ones as it sits right now. Just a reminder, guys, if you guys have never signed up for Underdog and you guys would like to do so, make sure to use the promo code 9, the number 9, TO5. They'll give you guys $50 instantly when you spend your first $5 on PrizePicks. I'm sure if you guys are watching this, you probably have already signed up before, but we're going to go ahead and jump into Underdog. And if you guys have never signed up for Underdog before, make sure to use this promo code 925 spelled out, guys. That'll give you guys a 50% deposit match, so take advantage of that. Jumping on into the Underdog bets, we are getting one of the same bets, Brandon Smith. And again, I'm going to get my action in on this bet on Underdog a little bit more, mostly so I can do a 3 slip bet on Underdog where they are paying out 6x as opposed to PrizePicks that pays out 5x. So a little bit of a better edge there. And then we do have Bennett here for over his rebounds and assisting, and he's someone that does get heavy minutes, and so I'm fine getting there with him. And then we also have another one here for under the points, rebounds, and assists. And then again, guys, the projection data does like the under here as well. And so these are going to be the 3 bets that I recommend here for Underdog. That's going to be the Underdog bet of the day there as well. Short and simple for Underdog. Hopefully we get more fantasy score bets on Underdog. Like for example, guys, here's a bet that I called out on Underdog and PrizePicks earlier on in the day. So there was Nate Biddle, guys. If you look at his PrizePicks fantasy scoreline, it was at 38.5. Okay, too many people had bet the over because the under was favored actually about 54.6%. Now, if you were trying to get action in on that bet, you actually would have rolled with his over underdog line here of 34.95. Those are some edges that we'll get most likely tomorrow when underdog comes out with their lines. But I did want to call it, like, that has been happening the last 2 days, and we just need to be, you know, taking advantage of that, maybe even potentially betting on middles for those occasions, but worth to call it as something that we can, you know, potentially get some good action in on. Now that's going to do it for this video. If you guys want any if you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. All the tools are going to be available for $10 a month. It gives you access to all the tools on the website, includes the underdog sheets, includes the prize pick sheets as well as some fantasy golf tools as well, if you guys are interested in that. Thanks for watching, guys. That's going to do it. And as always, let's keep cashing.